So, first off, when it comes to health, we want to have a philosophical construct of what does a healthy diet look like. We want some level of agreement. Most people are going to agree that there should be some kind of a whole food diet. Is going to be, if you're following the Pareto principle, 80% of the time you should be doing at least a whole food, nutrient dense, anti-inflammatory diet. Some people may say, hey, no meat, no this, fat's bad. I would say you got to look at food from a perspective of evolution, how long certain foods have been around, when you have winter, when you have cold. Obviously being a vegetarian, vegan in the winter does not make sense because you never had the ability to keep vegetables and carbohydrates good that long. You had to have fat, you had to have protein. Now, to what degrees we can talk about. And then we look at our carbohydrates. We have our vegetables, we have which are non-starchy, low carbs. We have our starchy carbohydrates that are grain free, but more of our root vegetables that are going to have more carbohydrates. We have some fruits, berries, those kind of things. And more than likely, in Paleolithic times, we probably had less berries, less sugar, just because those things were pretty rare. But we probably had some vegetables, may have had some tubers and roots and things like that. Definitely had protein, definitely had fats. And so we got to adjust that according to what your body needs. All right. So first thing is anti-inflammatory, nutrient dense, low toxin. Now we have the advent of agriculture about 10,000 years ago. Lots of Neolithic foods have come from agriculture because we had grains and we have processed flours now come out of the grains and grinding that up. And then we had a lot of processed sugar, whether it's from, corn and high fructose corn syrups. Now the grains and the sugar are now making up a lot of the processed foods. And these foods are Neolithic, meaning we haven't had time for our DNA to see these foods over the short period of time they've been around. Now, since that time frame, we've been able to see data on things like molecular mimicry, on gut permeability, on phytates, on anti-nutrients, and these things can be a stressor on the body. They can impact digestion, they can impact gut absorption. We have things like Roundup residue, glyphosate. These things can impact the gut lining, gut permeability. We know FODMAPs and fermentability aspects. These can also impact your gut if you have dysbiotic bacteria, SIBO, or IBS type of symptoms, bloating, gas, motility. These can all be a stressor. So first things first, can gluten be an issue even if I think I'm not sensitive? Yeah, I think it can be. Now, to what degree you have to be militant over it? Ideally, I like the Pareto principle. 80% of the time you're on, 20% of the time you aren't, right? I like that. For some people that works. If you have autoimmune conditions, known autoimmune thyroid issues, known autoimmune gut issues, you may have to nix that and be 100% off gluten. Number two, can we handle other healthier gluten-free options? Can you handle like a rice flour? Can you handle cassava root? Can you handle any nut-based flours, coconut? Some can. And so I always tell patients, you're better off choosing an alternative that's in that direction than just eating gluten by itself.